So we are just kind of reviewing a little bit the three different shapes of distributions. These could be dot plots, or these could be histograms, different kinds of graphs. But this, it says negatively skewed, we call that skewed left. Positively skewed, we called skewed right. And this one's symmetric. A normal curve is a specific type of symmetric that we'll get into a little bit later. I want to start with the middle, with B, on the symmetrical curve. If your data is symmetric, all of your measures of center will be the same. The mean and the median and the mode are all going to happen in the middle of the graph, and you're just going to have this mountain that's very symmetrical. It's the same on both sides. So mean, median, mode are going to be the same, or if it's not quite symmetric, they'll just be close, but they'll all be here in the middle. Okay, so let's go to skewed left. If you have a distribution that's skewed left, we've talked a lot about if you have an outlier that's really low, like we talked about if you have a 0 for an assignment, how that brings your mean down. Your mode is still over here, it's the highest point, but your mean is going to get pulled this way if you have an outlier this way. So this is pulled by outliers on this end. Your outliers are always going to be on that tail. This is why your mean, which we think of as our average for grades and things, gets pulled down. If you have a 0 or something that's a lot lower than everything else. Okay, sorry. So it's pulled by the outliers this way a lot. The median can be pulled a little bit. So the median is pulled a little to the left by outliers, but not as much as the mean. If it is skewed left, the one that we usually want to use to measure center is the median. So I'm just going to highlight that. This is what we want to use if it is skewed left for measure of center, is usually the median. That tells us the halfway point. Mean is going to be affected a lot by outliers, and mean and median are the two that are used most often. Mode is nice to look at for most often, but a lot of times we want to use median and actually divide the information in half. Half the data is lower, half the data is higher, and that's just a nice measure of center. And I guess I should have mentioned, when you have a symmetric graph, they're all basically the same, but we often will go ahead and compute the mean. So that's what we usually use. If it's symmetric, you just go ahead and find that average. But the median and the mode would also be okay because they're all going to be pretty close to the same thing. But mean is usually what will be used. And then over here, if it's skewed right, that means out here somewhere you have an outlier or maybe a couple of outliers that are just way far away from everything else. And that's going to pull the median a little. So it's pulled a little.
Like skewed left is
yeah, it's just the yeah. So basically we're just flipping skewed left. And the mean is going to get pulled a lot by the outliers. So it's pulled by the outliers a lot, which is why mean is not a very good measure of center. If you have one value that's way out here, that's going to make the mean off, and it's not really a typical representation for what you're doing. And so if it's skewed, we're going to use median. So this is just kind of a nice little example. If you are told to describe a data set, a distribution, by using a measure of center. These are your three measures of center, mean, median, mode. If it's symmetric, use or close to symmetric, go ahead and use the mean. Median and mode will be close. If it is skewed either left or right, use the median. It's affected a little bit by the outliers, but it's not pulled way over like the mean is. Okay? So that's all I have for that.